to Chapel Hill today. Did you have the article about the 3 football teams? Is that yours?
Yes.
That was good. I was thinking about it was good. I know that surprises you. I'd say it was good. I love college football. Yeah, I love college football. Unusual time. I don't drink Diet Coke, but it's not real good, and it makes me stop coughing, so we're good.
What do you think of the rule change?
I don't waste a lot of time spending much time thinking about it. Going from 35 to 30 is not a big difference for me. I'm a little disappointed that we no longer have the 5-second closely guarded rule, because I don't want to see one person handle the ball for 30 seconds now. I think it makes a lot of us play the same way. At the end of the shot clock, everybody sends 4 people to line across the baseline and play. And I think for me, I liked it better when we had it. So, but the other rules, I wish it were still easy or easier for coaches to call timeout. And I don't like that part, because if things don't work at the end, I'm responsible. I'd like to be able to call a timeout, and yet 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament, I'm standing there screaming timeout, timeout like this, and I didn't get it either. So at the end of the game, I asked the referee, I said, so what does all this mean? He said, basically the game's over with. I said, so thank you. And I turned and shook hands with Fred and walked off. And but other than that, I wish that we would stick up all year long and stay trying to keep the game a more free-flowing game. That's the most I've talked about it since it came out.
What about someone moving to push the season back?
I have not heard much about that. I heard today that we were thinking about pushing this meeting back, and I was thinking, July and Maui myself. But, I think the college basketball season is a long, long season. I happen to think it's the longest, because we're starting so much earlier. Sort of makes you start your conditioning program, your weight program earlier too. So it's a long season. When I was coaching, you guys don't even remember this, one year we started practice November 1st, and we were in preseason NIT and played a game November 17th or something like that, and we played pretty well. So.
You have 4 returning starters for that 5th spot. You kind of look at it there, and what kind of rotations have you used in practice? Can you expect to play that 5th second guard spot?
Well, I think it's hard to answer that right now, and I'm not setting no offense. I'm just being truthful with you, because this week will be the first week that Theo Pinson's been released to do everything. And so I'd hate to say, we've really figured out so-and-so, because I haven't figured out what all Theo can do. Kennedy has done some nice things, but so is Joel, and so is Isaiah, and so is Bryce. So first thing I do is I realize we have pretty good depth up front, but Bryce, Marcus, and Justin have proven they can do it in crunch time. So I think those 3 guys would, needless to say, have to step up on starting. And then the other spot would be Kennedy, who's done some really good things at certain times. Isaiah and Joel have improved their game. But then the other spot is the one that's the question mark, and it's the weakness of our team, is depth on the wing. We have Kenny Williams, Justin, and Theo. And Theo was operating on May the 4th and did not play a single game of competitive basketball until basketball practice started. So we're talking about from May to October before you get a chance to play. We've got to give him time to get acclimated with what we want to do. But Nate and Joel Barry are going to be involved in the process as well. And the next couple of weeks we'll really make a lot of decisions.
Do you contrast Kennedy's game coming into this season to where he was last season?
Well, he's better now. Last season he was much better athletically than he was the year before. He came in as a freshman at 319. But last year he played at 265 to 275. He has seen 258, I know, this year. The challenge for him, to me, isn't nearly as hard as what he's already done. Losing that much weight is really hard. And now you're not carrying around that weight, so you shouldn't jump higher. So then be more explosive, jump to the full of your ability, because, I'd get on him all the time about this double pump and lay it up against somebody's armpit, and he can explode up now. And so I need him to change that part. But what he's already done is, fortunately, I've never had to lose that kind of weight with what he's really done. Everybody tells me as hard as it can possibly be.
Your players said before, like their conditioning, their 12-minute run, they had to do an extra half lap. But they embraced that. A couple of guys, they said they didn't really want to even watch the championship game last year because of what they thought they could have done.
Yeah.
Do you sense the sort of almost orneriness or frustration in a good way,
Well,
constructive frustration?
Yeah, in the locker room in Los Angeles, when we lost the Sweet 16 game, I told them that night, I hope you remember this feeling and use it as motivation, use this as fuel to work harder over the offseason and to be willing to work harder and pay more of a price so you don't have this feeling again. And with Marcus Bryce and Joel being really, really good leaders, I think that they've done those kind of things, and I think they've helped us through the preparation of practice. I think we've had 17 practices, and 16 of them I've been fairly pleased when I left. We had one that was dogged, and I went a little wacko on them at that time. But I think all those things the team so far has used that in a you don't want to use it just in a positive manner because you don't want to have that experience in the first place. But I think they have used it and tried to use it as motivation.
Does this group have a certain amount of confidence level or internal expectations because of all those returning people you have?
I think we have expectations, but expectations. What I always say is those are other people's thoughts. I talk in terms of dreams and goals, and I think we have our own dreams and goals, and I think they're legitimate. In 05, we had everybody coming back, but we added Marvin Williams. That's a pretty big addition. In 29, we had everybody coming back, and we added Ed Davis, particularly with Powers as well. And I think that was a very significant addition. This year, we didn't add one of those top 15, top 10 talents to the group. So our only improvement has to be how each individual has improved. And I think they've had a great attitude about that and tried to improve. And I hope they're embracing the idea that everybody thinks we're going to be pretty good. We have some limitations, but I like the fact that I feel like they are embracing those feelings that other people have that we're going to be pretty good.
So for this team to reach its ceiling, whatever that might be, I guess, what will that be determined by then?
Oh, I have no idea of that. It's, I told them Wes Miller, that's the head coach at UNC Greensboro right now, came closer to playing to his potential than any player I've ever coached. And so their challenge is try to be the best player you can be, and then hopefully be willing to focus enough to look at the big picture to make that to be the best team we can be. But if things don't turn out like our dreams and goals are, I'm not that kind of guy that's going to smash some trophy or honorable mention deal or somebody thinks you're great citizens. You're just going to have to do the best you can. And if we don't win the national championship, I'm not going to jump off the top of the Smith Center, and I don't expect any of our players to, but I do expect them to give me everything they can to try to be the best team we can possibly be.
You have an older team or older players. What are the challenges of getting an experienced group or experienced talent to grow and improve as opposed to, I'd imagine, younger players that can take bigger leaps?
Well, there's no question younger players can take bigger leaps because they haven't proven that they can do it, so you don't know if they can. But I like an experienced team. They have been easier to coach. They understand those difficult moments in the locker room. They also understand those good moments in the locker room. But I challenge them all the time, be the best player you can be, and then let's get everybody together and be the best team that you can be. But, everybody would take talent. Every coach in here that you ask, would you have talent or experience? Everybody would take talent. But if you can't have talent, the second one would be experience, and then one everybody would really want would be that experienced talent, which I think we had in 09 particularly, and I think we had it in 2012 as well, but I don't think we have it at that level right now like we did in those years.
People were stubborn. The older they got, if some habits were harder to break.
No, I think we've got a really good group to work with. They're very coachable. They trust me. They trust our staff. It's everybody's got their own feelings. That's the reason you have the tape machine and the cameras. So the eye in the sky don't lie. You got to show them those kind of things sometimes, but that's okay too.
Can mental toughness be a skill? Can mental toughness be a skill?
You know, I think I'll put it to you almost the same way, but maybe opposite depending on how you look at it. I think playing hard and being really mentally tough is a talent. And, you know, Tyler Hansbrough, people say, well, boy, he just plays so hard. Well, that's a talent, you know. Now, the mental toughness aspect of it, you've got to be able to focus. I mean, to me, that's really what it is. I think with experience, you have a chance of letting the other things drop off your side and focus much, much better. We've talked about it. We got the signs up. We got all those kind of things. We'll see if it works.
The guys said a couple weeks ago, and Justin and Kenny today both said that sign about the 8 losses in games you led in the second half totally speaks to mental toughness and focus. How much has that been something that you've been pushing?
Well, we've pushed it a lot. I would say focus may be even a better word than toughness, you know, because I think our guys are tough enough to dive on the floor for a loose ball and not let someone else dive in front of them. But the focus to do your job, regardless of how small your assignment is, do that assignment to the best of your ability. And I think the focus might even be a better terminology than the toughness.
How healthy is Marcus compared to last year?
You didn't have him up here today because he suffered through this 2 years in a row. But knock on wood, he's been healthier this year than he has been since the end of his sophomore year. He's playing very, very well in practice, and he likes feeling good instead of getting treated because he's hurting every day.
Speaking of suffering through this, last year you had to answer a lot of questions that did not relate to baseball. Rick's not
Or
here.
basketball.
Whatever. I'm thinking World Series. Rick's not here today. Kind of wish that maybe you might have taken that same tack.
You know, I didn't enjoy my time here and answering all those questions that didn't pertain much to basketball, but every situation is unique, every situation is different. Rick has an attorney that says, I don't think you should do that. And that's somebody that you've got to listen to because you trusted the guy enough to hire him, and it's part of the facts of life. I think Rick would like to say many more things than he's saying, but he's been advised not to say those kind of things.
Well, in that respect, did you feel like it was a good thing then that you were able to say a lot of the things that you wanted to say last year at this time?
I'll put it to you differently. I said some things I wanted to say, and it was 1/10 or 1/100th or 1,000th about what the crap I really wanted to say. You know, I could have given you a lot more things. Your articles would have been a lot better, but I couldn't say what I wanted to say.
What's your level of frustration given the fact that a year later, a lot of this stuff is still unresolved? You push back with submitting more information, we're still holding that.
Well, there's still frustration because our program has suffered already. There's been no penalties assigned to us. The federal prosecutor didn't garnish my salary or anything like that, but we have suffered a great deal already for 2 to 3 years. I'm very proud, and no, it's a bad way to put it. Don't use that term. I'm very sad, mad, disappointed. You can use all that we have the problem at all. But there was Steve, I think I did ask you if I could say, in a 55-page report, you know, my name's listed once, and it's in a rather positive way. It's even mentioned. I've said to myself all along, I know what we did, and so the frustration is that we have still suffered greatly by the negative recruiting, the sensationalism, certain people, whatever you want to call it. But everybody would like for it to be over with quickly. And it hadn't gotten over with quickly. And from the chancellor to everybody that works at the university, we would like for it to be over quicker. But the fact of life is that we're getting through some adversity, and I'll be extremely pleased when it is finally over with. I didn't hear you.
And it got pushed back again in August because they were about to respond to, pushback.
Frustrating. Is that an okay terminology there?
In terms of recruiting, 2 guys signed.
I can give you a lot more.
In terms of recruiting, you have 2 guys coming in already. What have you been telling recruits when you go in homes and stuff about this situation?
The same thing I just told you. I mean, I'm mad, I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, all that stuff. But read what is there.
This is sort of a football question. I know that.
That's all right. I'm a great football fan.
baseball too,
Hey, we talked basketball, and he thought we were talking baseball.
I heard you mention you're a big college football fan. I know that Joel in high school was teammates with Jacoby Brissett.
Kobe Brissett, very good basketball player. I saw him play several times.
I was going to ask, did he catch your eyes at basketball?
Yeah, I mean, he had a chance. He had a chance to be a very, very good basketball player. They played in the maybe the 8 teams that played for the quote national championship in high school. And the first game they played against a great team, and Jacoby was just as good as anybody on the court.
Did you guys ever consider recruiting him at all, or was it more?
No, I think in fact, I think he was a year ahead of Joel. And I think when I saw Joel play as a junior, Jacoby had already decided that it was going to be a football decision. He may have already even committed, I'm not sure.
Did you make the right choice, think?
Well, let's wait till after our game against North Carolina State before I answer that.
You mentioned what you say to the recruits about the negative recruiting. Do you say anything to the other coaches who are doing that recruiting? Do you pick up the phone and say talk what you're into?
I've been known to do that, yes, but that's something I'm not going to share because that's pretty private too.
In terms of this team, what do you kind of see improvement-wise from Justin Jackson? Obviously, you like that big jump, that sophomore jump. What in particular have you seen him do better?
I think he's much more active defensively than he was last year. I think he's understanding how important the offensive rebounding part of it can be. He's doing a better job of taking the ball to the basket because we want him to get fouled. He's really a good shooter, and yet in the first 17 practices hasn't shot the ball exceptionally well, but I think he is going to shoot it better than he did last year. So that's almost every phase of the game he's better. And I think the maturity and the confidence will make that continue through the whole year.
What about Isaiah Hicks? He's the guy that could probably be a big player for him.
Isaiah needs to be a big-time player for us. You know, he's tipping it up at 235 to 239, so he's much stronger. Need him to be much more confident as well and to be able to make plays and defend and see that big picture, and I think he's going to really have a good year.
You've had some really good.
Somebody had me before.
You've talked a couple of times about the conversation you had with Justin last year after the Duke game. He said a little story earlier today about after the Virginia game in the ACC tournament, you kind of pulled him aside quickly and said, "That's what I'm talking about." He said that little moment right there, more than any moment that he's had with you, gave him the confidence to be the kind of player he thinks he's going to be this year. He said it was maybe the most important conversation he had with you. It was only 30 seconds later.
Then I'm going to go home and do it again tonight then, see if that helps too.
Do you remember that? And
I remember. Yeah. You know, coaches like elephants, they mostly remember everything, and I'm one of those guys. My brain is filled with more useless information than anybody in the world, but if you remember that game, he was a big-time player in that game, and he was perhaps the most important player in a nice team win, and I think he can do those kind of things a lot more often.
Beefing up for Chuck.
Yeah, sorry, you had a number of really good kind of defensive specialists, and you can see Jackie Manuel, you didn't recruit him, but you had Marcus Gainier and Jimmy Tokyo. What do you kind of look for in a guy that maybe can be like a defensive stopper, a role you like, and does Theo Pinson fit that role or not?
You know, I wish we had a whole team full of them. You know, some of our real good teams are more than one. So I wish we had a whole team full of them. I asked the players the other day, and this is meant to be a positive towards Tony. I said, who was the best defensive team in our league last year? And everybody said Virginia. I said, they've won it the last 2 years in a row. Doesn't that tell you something? In 09, the last 6 games, we were really something defensively. I think 3 of those 6 opponents we held to less than 30% shooting in one half. So you'd like those guys that do it for the whole season and that do it as a team. I don't know that I have anybody right now that I would say I'm going to put so-and-so on him. You know, Marcus is our most consistent defensive player. He's in the right place at the right time and does it consistently. But I'd like to have somebody step forward and take that spot because I think that's crucial to how good you can be. Somebody started.
Yeah, Justin mentioned that he's added some beef, and he's thinking that will help him defensively and offensively. Have you seen a difference there preseason?
No, I think he is stronger. You know, we put a team in the other day, and I put Joel and Kennedy together. And I said, well, the all-beef team is in there. And they said, well, not everybody. And I said, well, Justin, he said, no, Coach, I belong on the all-beef team. So I think we're a few steps away from that part, but I think more strength, body mass, weight, and all those kind of things helps you on the backboard, helps you defensively, helps you because you're driving the ball to the basket. If the slightest contact can knock you off balance, and the next year you have enough strength to make that drive, and the slightest contact doesn't cause you anything, I think that's a huge positive.
With Marcus, Justin, Bryce, Kennedy, other guy, do you need that kind of third perimeter guy with Marcus and Justin to be a defensive guy, or can it all work with 5 guys who are as offensively gifted? Or what do you kind of look for?
I guess
to
we'll
fill
see.
in gaps?
I guess we'll see. I think this team's going to have to be one where all 5 guys do their job. Jackie Emanuel, for example, is just so good at getting around screens. He was always there, made it difficult for the shooters. Tyler Zeller, you were always there, or he was always there, and you needed him. But he had John Hintz behind him who could block shots. Kendall Marshall was a little slower than most point guards, but yet he had enough length to give them room. And if he did make a mistake, he had John and Tyler both behind him. But I think this year would be more of a 5 guys working together trying to do a great job.
So if Justin has improved defensively, is that good?
Yeah, no, he really has improved defensively, and I think it's everybody from your freshman to sophomore year should make a pretty significant jump.